Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I received an email yesterday. There was a brother from the US, and he was telling me that he goes to public school and that recently he was given an assignment. It was a group project. So in his group, there was a female, and they exchanged contact information so that they could talk about their project. And long story short, he began to get feelings for this female. So what started out as them just maybe talking about a group project, getting the assignment done, led to joking, socializing, and now he feels like he might be falling in love with her. So he emailed me because he knows that I also went to public school in the US, and he thought maybe I'd be able to relate, maybe I could give him some advice. So when I went to reply to his message, the first thing I thought was, yeah, my advice is to not go to public school in the US. Now I know I'm going to maybe offend people with this video. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone. I know there are people, they send their children, their Muslim children, to public school. I know I have family members who they teach in public school, a lot of friends. But honestly, this is something I feel extremely strong about, and I think it's extremely important, and that is that sending your Muslim child to public school, in my opinion, is one of the worst things that you can do. And I'm saying that as somebody who, I went to 12 years of public school. I graduated from college in the US. And after I graduated from college, I even went back and I was a substitute teacher for a few months. And I can't stress enough that no Muslims should send their children to public schools in the US. Allah tells us to save yourselves and your family from the hellfire. You are responsible for your children, and the most important thing in this dunya is having them worship Allah and be good Muslims. There's nothing more important than that. And when you send them to public school, you're basically sending them for like 6-7 hours a day to be completely surrounded by things that are going to be calling them away from Islam, non-stop, constantly. And I don't mean to act as though everyone in public school like they're evil or they're this or they're that, but the fact of the matter is, from the teachers to the curriculum to the way things are taught to the environment to the other students, everything is going to be calling them away from Islam. And to be honest, I think a lot of Muslim parents, many, they didn't grow up in the US. You know, they went to school overseas, back in their home country, so they can't really know what it's like. They might not realize how bad it is. They're going to teach your children kufr. They're going to, I can't even tell you how many teachers I had that said things, that taught things as if they were fact, that completely contradicted, sometimes even mocked and ridiculed religion and Allah and the prophets. And you're sending your kids to them to learn as if they know what they're talking about, as if these are facts. And there's no doubt this is going to have an effect on your children. Then there's the social aspect. You can just put the morals to the side, the drugs, the dating, the this, the that. Just the fact that you're going to have kids that are at the peak of their hormones racing. You're going to put boys and girls, young men and women in a room together where the women aren't dressed appropriately. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? Now, there are a lot of people trying to open up Islamic schools in the US, but unfortunately, a lot of parents, for whatever reason, they don't send their kids there, and it's not always because of the cost. Of course, some people, they might not be able to afford it, but a lot of people can. They don't make sending their child to an Islamic school a priority. Maybe you didn't go to public school in the US. You know, you grew up overseas. So maybe you don't know. Maybe you think I'm exaggerating, but I'm just telling you from my experience, and I understand it's different from place to place, situation to situation, person to person, but the last thing I would ever try to do to my child is send them to a public school, you know? I'm not trying to offend anyone or disrespect them or over exaggerate, but it's something I feel very strongly about. I mean, you see this brother who sent me this email, it's almost like he was forced into the situation, and this is pretty rare. I mean, for somebody to even care, you know what I mean? Like, he at least cared enough to seemingly try to avoid this sort of thing, but then, you know, his teacher encouraged a group assignment and they exchanged information. He got feelings. I mean, it's a natural thing. That's why Allah has created certain laws regarding men and women to protect them. It's natural for a young man to see a woman and be attracted to her. That's how Allah made us. That's why marriage is such a beautiful thing. So sending your child to a public school and expecting them not to fall in love, not to learn things that's going to shake the foundations of their belief, not pick up bad traits from people who don't believe in Allah and aren't guided. I mean, really, wallahi, I feel like it's one of the worst things you can possibly do is send your child to a public school. And the thing is it's just something I don't understand, because I mean, I'm not in that situation, so maybe I just can't relate. But what is worth your child potentially going astray? What is worth your child going to the hellfire? I would imagine nothing is worth that. And when you send your child to a public school, that's the path you're leading them down, because that is what everything around them is going to be calling them to. It's going to be calling them away from Islam. Allah knows best, but I truly believe that. So Islamic schools is something that we need to take seriously in the US. We need to understand its importance. We need to support our Islamic schools. We need to enroll our children in the Islamic schools. We need to do whatever we can to give our children an alternative, because your children, they're your flock. And if you send them to a public school, you're basically sending your flock of sheep to go sit with a bunch of wolves for 12 years, 6 hours a day. And Allah knows best. May Allah guide all of us. May Allah make it easy for us. If we as a community take Islamic school as seriously as we should, then inshallah, we will find ways to deal with these issues. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that Sheikh Al-Albani has classified as sahih. And the meaning of the hadith is that if you give up something for the sake of Allah, then He will replace it with something better. Let's work together to find alternatives. I know there are a lot of Islamic schools that are being built in the US. They're rising, they're improving, more people are enrolling. This is a good sign, but we need to do better. I can't stress the importance of this issue enough. Jazakumullahu khairan for watching. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.